Will never go away. It'll always be with me. And I think I saw somewhere the sadness is a reminder of how much he means to me. Just feel like, I did something right in life with him,
This ain't just some tragic headline. This is a heartbreak dipped in mystery and drowned in silence. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the man millions grew up watching on screen, is gone. A proud father just trying to make memories with his daughter, dead during what should have been a chill vacation in Costa Rica. And now, the internet's lit up with questions that nobody's answering. The most haunting detail? His final video. He's laughing, celebrating his daughter's birthday, with a flower tucked in his hair saying, "There's always a reason to smile." But hours later, and that smile disappeared forever. They say he died trying to rescue his daughter, a heroic final act. But then officials dropped a bombshell. She wasn't even in the water, so what really went down? From the jump, the reports didn't line up, and just like that, whispers turned into roars. His wife allegedly moved millions in assets to her name within 24 hours of his death. That's not grief. That's strategy. Even worse, she allegedly refused to let their daughter say goodbye to her own father. Then out of nowhere, Regina King speaks up. The woman he once loved. The woman he walked away from on Valentine's Day, no less. She didn't owe the world a word.
You long believed to be true, but realized wasn't.
Well, as one of the main opponents of the Illuminati, I always wanted to know what information they had that we didn't.
Now we finally have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm-Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday.
Life, it's fragile, and in the blink of an eye,
you never know.
You never know. So speaking of legacy, what do you hope that your legacy is going to be?
There is part of me that I will be able to leave this earth, knowing and people knowing that I was a good person. I spent, so much of the early part of my life listening to being celebrated on one hand, but paying way too much attention to the naysay.
These are the first things we saw when we pulled up to the beach. Signs in Spanish and English warning people about potentially hazardous conditions. This sign even giving a roadmap for how to escape a rip current.
But she spoke, calm, elegant, but underneath you could feel the fire. This wasn't just heartbreak, it was unfinished business. And let's not forget, Regina's the same woman who lost her only son. And now she's stepping back into the light, just as whispers turn into theories. Some say Malcolm was sitting on something huge, something powerful people didn't want getting out, something hidden in what folks now call the piles. So now it's not just about how he died, it's about why. And more importantly, who wanted him gone? Buckle up. This story, it's nowhere near over. They say the ocean never lies. But on those Costa Rican shores, where the waves stole Malcolm-Jamal Warner's life, the truth is sinking. Fast. A father, a legend, a man full of light and wisdom, gone during a beach getaway with his 8-year-old daughter. That's what the headline screamed. But look closer, and it's clear. This wasn't just some tragic accident. It feels like something, or someone, made sure his voice got silenced before he could speak. Just hours before his death, Malcolm posted a video. Nothing fancy, just raw, peaceful joy. A flower in his hair, gifted by his daughter for her birthday. He laughed, he smiled, he said, "Life is lifing right now. There's always a reason to smile." And that was the last time the world saw his smile. Then came the so-called official story. They claimed he drowned after getting caught in a rip current. They said his daughter wasn't even in the water. But folks who were actually there, they're telling a whole different tale. Witnesses say Malcolm was in the water fighting that current, trying to save his daughter, a final act of pure love. But the agency in charge, OJ, stuck to their version, insisting the girl was never in danger. So now people are asking, why the lies? Why the switch up? And if, as one police chief admitted, they weren't even there, then seriously, who are they trying to protect? That police chief didn't stutter. He said it straight up. He was there. He saw it all go down. He talked to the Red Cross himself. They treated Malcolm's daughter right there on the beach. He said Malcolm ran into the ocean to save her. He fought that current with everything he had. That wasn't just a drowning. That was a father's final stand. A heartbreaking goodbye that nobody saw coming. But this story, it didn't get buried in the waves. It followed the scent of money, silence, and a woman people are now side-eyeing hard. Less than 24 hours after Malcolm died, his wife allegedly hit up a lawyer. Not to grieve, not to plan a memorial, not to comfort their daughter. Nope, to allegedly switch up the beneficiary of his $12 million estate. Just like that, all of it under her name, and it doesn't stop there. She allegedly refused to let their daughter say one last goodbye to her father. No final moment, no peace, and get this. She reportedly demanded no autopsy, no questions, just silence, just closure, but only on her terms. Why move that fast? Why shut everything down so tight? This ain't just grief. This got Shady written all over it. It feels like fear. It feels like someone trying to lock the door before anyone else can peek inside. And the internet? Oh, people are watching. Fans, friends, even strangers are all asking the same thing. What are they hiding? And then, from deep in the past, Regina King steps back into the picture. A name that still carries weight, a memory, a love story that had the whole culture cheering. Two Black Hollywood powerhouses, finally together, until one day, out of the blue, he left her. On Valentine's Day, no warning, no goodbye, just gone. Regina once said, "I don't have a favorite Valentine's memory. Someone broke up with me on Valentine's Day." That someone was Malcolm. He sent her flowers after with a note, "I still love you." She tossed them in the trash, but her pain didn't stop there. After the breakup, Regina's entire world shattered. Her only son, her light, her everything, would later take his own life. No mother should ever have to feel that kind of pain, but Regina King, she stood tall. In her first interview after losing her son, she didn't speak with anger. She spoke with raw love, with heartbreak, with a strength that almost didn't seem human. "Grief is love with no place to go," she said. And now, with Malcolm gone, those words hit even harder. So when Regina finally broke her silence after Malcolm's death, the world stopped and listened. She posted a photo, Malcolm on his motorcycle. The caption, "Some people leave a lasting imprint not just for who they were, but for the energy they carried." No drama, no shade, just pain, real pain. Then came another post, "Ride in power." She didn't drag his name. She didn't air out old wounds. She simply mourned the man she once gave her heart to. And somehow, in that silence, she spoke louder than any headline ever could. Because behind that tribute, there's a story, one full of emotion, loss, and questions that never got answers. Why did Malcolm suddenly disappear from her life? Why did a love so strong, so sacred, end so coldly? No closure, no reason, just gone. Some say he switched up, others say he got spooked. But what if he wasn't scared of love, but of something much bigger? Just before his death, rumors started buzzing that Malcolm was ready to expose something major, that he had files, real receipts, something called Thea Piles, something he wanted to make public. But before he could, the ocean took him. Now sure, some folks still believe in coincidences, but let's be real. If you've been watching closely, this fits a pattern. Mysterious deaths, sealed documents, voices suddenly gone quiet. So now we gotta ask, was Malcolm silenced? Was the truth buried in waves and paperwork? Was this a warning shot to others? Stay quiet, or this could be you. We don't have all the answers, not yet. But here's what we do know. A man who woke up smiling was gone by sunset. A little girl who gave her dad a flower now clutches nothing but memories. A wife allegedly moved fast, not to grieve, but to lock down millions. A mother, Regina King, stood tall and spoke with nothing but grace, while the rest of the world sat with a pain that just won't let go. And the hardest truth of all, we might never get the full story, because when powerful people want something buried, it doesn't just vanish, it sinks, quiet, deep, no splash, no trace. But sometimes the sea gives it back, and if you listen close, real close, you'll hear the whispers, the ones begging for justice, calling out the name of a man who should still be here, a man who deserved more. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, a father, an actor, a fighter, taken too soon, but not forgotten. Not today, not ever. They thought the world would just move on. Like nothing happened. The ocean pulled him under. And then the silence tried to pull the truth with it. One day he was here, laughing, living, being a dad. The next, gone. And in the wreckage he left behind, questions, contradictions, hush-hush moves, and a silence so loud it's screaming. Because it's always the silence that tells the real story. Costa Rican officials dropped a clean, polished statement. Malcolm was standing at the shoreline. His daughter wasn't in the water. He entered the sea with a friend. The current was strong. He drowned. End of story. Just like that. But witnesses, they saw something else. One officer, who was actually on scene, said Malcolm wasn't just out for a swim. He was fighting. Fighting to save his daughter. She was treated right there on the sand by paramedics. He claimed they both got swept into that current, and people rushed in with boards, trying to pull them back. So why was that version never made public? Why cut that part of the story out? Why act like his daughter was never in danger? Because when you paint someone as a hero, things get messy. And if Malcolm died saving his child, he'd be remembered as a martyr, a father who gave it all. But if he just drowned, then it's easier to sweep it under the rug. No questions, no heat, just a tragic accident and a fast goodbye. Exactly how someone wanted it. They allegedly tried to cremate his body quick, too quick, no autopsy, no second look, just pack him up and ship him home. Quiet, cold, final. And who pushed for it? The same woman who had just taken control of $12 million in property, accounts, and investments. His wife, allegedly, made sure it all happened. No press, no public tears, no emotional breakdowns, just quiet power moves and a paper trail to follow. Fans were stunned. This wasn't just some celebrity. This was Theo Huxtable. People grew up with him. He was part of their story, their memories, their lives, and the way he disappeared and how his legacy was being handled. It felt less like mourning and more like a transaction. And watching from the shadows, Regina King, the woman who once loved him, the woman who already knew what it meant to lose everything and still rise. She didn't owe him anything, not a post, not a word, but she still spoke. Her grief wasn't loud, it was piercing. Soft, powerful, and packed with emotion. But behind that sadness, there's been a fire burning for years. See, most people have no idea what really went down between Regina and Malcolm. They were the quiet power couple, two icons from different worlds of Black Hollywood finally linking up. It felt real. It felt right, like destiny. Until one day, it didn't. No warning, no clue, just silence, and Regina, she never saw it coming. 1 minute, they were building a future. The next, Regina was being told to leave the home she shared with Malcolm and her son on Valentine's Day. No warning, no reason, just gone. Everything they had vanished like it never existed. But the heartbreak, that was only the beginning. Years later, Regina would face a loss no parent should ever experience. She had to bury her only son. That kind of pain doesn't just hurt. It destroys you. It empties you from the inside out. And when she spoke about him, she said something that now cuts even deeper. Sometimes his absence is really loud. Now that same silence echoes with Malcolm's name. Different kind of loss, but the same haunting stillness. But maybe, just maybe, Regina saw something the rest of us missed. Maybe her quiet tribute wasn't just sadness. Maybe it was suspicion. A subtle signal that something didn't feel right. And she wasn't the only one feeling it. Social media went wild. Reddit threads were on fire. Twitter was flooded with people asking the same questions. Why weren't there lifeguards on that beach? Why were local rescue teams reportedly redirected to other areas that same day? Why did the agency in charge move so quickly to close the case? And the creepiest part? The whispers, the Theo piles. People online started digging. Some claimed Malcolm had stumbled onto something big, hidden names, secret files, dangerous info, and he wasn't just sitting on it, he was getting ready to expose it. Some said it tied to celebrities, others claimed politicians were involved, but a few believed it went even deeper, into the world of real power, money, elite networks, and secrets that no one dares to touch. But here's what we do know. Malcolm was smart, sharp, a deep thinker. A man who spoke with purpose. If he found something wrong, he would have used it to make things right. But some truths, they don't want to be told. And some voices, they get silenced before they get the chance. because before Malcolm could say a word, he drowned. Or at least that's what they said. A strong current, a moment of misjudgment. Now people are starting to ask the hard question. Was this really just an accident? Or was there something more? And if there was, how far would someone go to shut him down? Because this story is starting to look way too familiar. A beloved public figure, a sudden shocking death, a rushed funeral, conflicting stories. And behind it all, money, power, and silence. This isn't just about Malcolm-Jamal Warner anymore. It's about what he might have known, what he planned to share, and why that truth may have died with him. And through all of this, Regina King has become something deeper. Whether she meant to or not, she's the emotional center of this whole thing. Her pain, her poise, her silence, it mirrors exactly what everyone else is feeling. That deep gut-level sense that something was taken from us, that someone out there knows more than they're letting on. And until that silence breaks, the questions are only going to get louder. What really happened on that beach? Why do the official reports not match the witness accounts? Why the rush to claim the money? Why shut down an autopsy? And what are the Theopiles? And why are people scared to even mention them? The world deserves answers. His daughter deserves answers. And if the truth got dragged under those waves with him, then we owe it to Malcolm to keep digging until the tide turns and the silence can't cover it anymore. Because sometimes the most dangerous stories aren't the ones we tell. They're the ones we're not allowed to. And this one feels far from over. Sometimes the truth doesn't whisper, it screams. And ever since Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death, the silence around it has only gotten louder. Too loud. We've grieved, we've questioned, we've replayed those final hours in our minds, trying to make sense of something that makes none. But what if the truth isn't in the water? What if it's hiding in the shadows? Because way too much isn't adding up. A man laughing with his daughter in a final video, dead just hours later. A father, a protector, gone in the blink of an eye. Some say he died a hero, saving his little girl. Others swear she was never even in the water. And through all of it, the officials clung to their version of the story. Clean, neat, and a little too convenient. Everything felt controlled. But even that wasn't the most disturbing part. What nobody expected, what absolutely shocked people, was what happened right after. Not even a full day had passed. The ink on Malcolm's death certificate wasn't even dry. And already, the paperwork was flying. His wife, who had just lost her husband, allegedly made moves with a speed that didn't look like grief. It looked like strategy. Lawyers were contacted, assets shifted. $12 million worth of property and investments allegedly placed right under her name. No memorial, no press statement, not even a public tear, just silence and signatures. And when the internet started asking questions, that silence got even deeper. Mainstream media said the bare minimum, then kept it moving. No follow-ups, no deep dives, no exclusive interviews, just a quiet fade out of a man who once brought joy to millions. A face that lit up living rooms all across America. But fans didn't forget. Oh no, they started digging. They started connecting the dots. And what they found sent chills down people's spines. One word kept popping up, the piles. At first, it was just noise, a stray comment on Reddit, a whisper in an anonymous DM. But then, more started surfacing. And when people cross-referenced Malcolm's interviews, podcast appearances, and social media posts, something real began to take shape. He had been warning us, not loud, not direct, but in low-key coded ways. In one podcast, he said, some stories never make it to the light. In another, he hinted at knowing things that keep you up at night. And in a now-deleted post, he wrote, the truth may be buried, but it always remembers how to breathe. Then came the real bombshell, a leaked email, allegedly from Malcolm himself, sent to a trusted journalist friend. In it, he referenced a folder. Not just any folder, encrypted, hidden, protected. What was in it? Why was he protecting it? He called it Theopiles. In that email, Malcolm said he was scared, said he didn't trust many people. And what he had uncovered? It had the power to shake up how the world sees some of the biggest names in entertainment. But it was one line, just one, that changed everything. If anything happens to me, know it wasn't an accident. Let that hit you again. If anything happens to me, know it wasn't an accident. That sentence flips the whole story on its head. Suddenly the drowning doesn't look so simple. The silence, starts to feel like a cover-up. The wife's alleged rush to lock down assets doesn't look like mourning anymore. It looks like motive, like someone had something to lose if Malcolm spoke. And now all those loose ends, they don't feel random. They feel like red flags. Why did the first report contradict eyewitnesses? Why did the police back a version they weren't even there to see? Why weren't lifeguards posted, even though that beach was known to be dangerous? Why were people allegedly told not to talk to the media? Why shut down the autopsy? Why rush to cremate? And why, in the name of basic decency, would a grieving daughter be denied one final goodbye to her dad? It's like someone wanted to wipe Malcolm out, cleanly, quietly, erase the man, erase the truth, but they missed one thing. The internet never sleeps. People started sharing, posting, exposing, videos went viral, threads blew up. Folks who'd never even met Malcolm were in tears, furious, demanding answers. The silence didn't calm anything. It only made the noise louder. And right there, in the middle of all that chaos, stood Regina King. Not as a woman scorned, but as a woman who had lost everything and still stood with grace. Her tribute was short, but it cut deep. And behind every word, you could feel it. She knew. Maybe she won't say it out loud, maybe she never will, but the look in her eyes said everything. They had unfinished business, words left unsaid, a history soaked in both love and pain. But more than anything, they had the truth. Now he's gone, and she's the only one left who might still hold the missing pieces. Or maybe she's just another heartbroken soul, trying to make sense of a loss that never should have happened. Either way, her silence now carries weight, and every word she does speak feels like it's coming straight from the grave. But here's what haunts people the most. What if Thea Piles is still out there? What if the files weren't destroyed, just hidden? What if Malcolm knew this was coming and left a trail, a coded path only the right eyes could follow? Because if there's one thing we've learned, truth doesn't stay buried. Maybe the real reason for Malcolm's death hasn't surfaced yet. Maybe someone out there is watching, waiting, scared that one wrong move, one email leak, one nosy reporter, one fearless hacker could blow it all open. But truth, it doesn't care about your fear. It doesn't care about your lawyers, your millions, your sealed reports, and it definitely doesn't care about silence. Truth rises, slowly, painfully, but it rises. Maybe one day we'll know what really happened. Maybe one day his daughter will grow up and demand answers. Maybe one day Regina will speak her truth, raw, unfiltered. Maybe one day the world will finally see what Thea Piles really is. Not just some secret folder, not just encrypted files, but a weapon, a truth bomb, one that Malcolm-Jamal Warner may have died to protect. Until then, we remember, we honor, and we never stop asking what really happened to Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Because this wasn't just an accident, it felt like a warning, and once you see the cracks in the story, there's no one seeing them. So we keep watching, we keep digging, we keep listening, because the waves may have taken his body, but they didn't take his voice. And somewhere in that silence, his truth is still speaking. So now it's your turn. Do you believe this was just a tragic accident or something deeper? A man is gone, a father, a light, a voice, and all we're left with, conflicting stories, sealed reports, silenced witnesses, and a digital file that no one wants to talk about. They want us to move on, to scroll past, to forget, but we won't because this was Malcolm-Jamal Warner, and if he was silenced for what he knew, then the worst thing we could do now is stay silent too. If this video made you feel something, like, comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that dig deeper than the headlines. And until next time, keep your eyes open and your ears to the silence. See you in the next video.